So It Chapter 2 was directed by Andy Muschietti, and it stars Jessica Chastain, Bill Skarsgård, James McAvoy, and Bill Hader. And if you didn't watch my video review for the original It Chapter 1 when it came out in theaters, I have that right up here for you guys. And without any further ado, I'm going to go straight into the movie review here. And I would just say that this movie had a lot to live up to. A lot. Starting with the fact that I feel like this movie takes away one of Andy Muschietti, the director here, his biggest strengths from that original It film, and that is that he works good with child actors. You know, that movie clearly showed that. When you have such nuanced performances from child actors, like there was in that It Chapter 1 film, you really have to not only look at those child actors who are great actors, but you have to look at the director that got those performances, because it's hard working with child actors. It's hard getting them to convey such nuanced feelings, and that movie very much did that, and I dug that about that film. And coming back to it, I feel like that sticks out more and more every time I watch it. So with this film, if you were going to focus on them as adults, I feel like that kind of takes away some of that nuance and one of our director here's biggest strengths. That is my main gripe with It Chapter 2. Even though these performances in this film are good, they aren't as good. And it is a recurring theme, even though the scares in this movie, some of them are kind of effective, they aren't as effective as in that first film. And you can just go on and on and on and on about that feeling about this movie. But that doesn't mean that this movie isn't that good. I would say that Bill Skarsgård, he doesn't have a lot of screen time here, and that is another complaint of mine. But when he does, he is effective, and I do like him a lot. And I wish there was just more of him in this film. Just because these actors aren't as good as the child actors in It Chapter 1 doesn't mean that they aren't good, because they are. Jessica Chastain has some of that nuance that her character had in the original film, and I whenever I see that in her in this film, I do like it. Unfortunately, not enough. James McAvoy, the stuttering, I feel like they amped it up in this movie. But besides that, I like him in this film. Bill Hader is the standout here. He is great. He has the most emotion. I would say that in this movie, not a lot of characters have a through line. Not a lot of characters have an arc. But his character, he is the only one that definitely has an arc. He has a place to go at the end of this film. And, he's a scene stealer here. Every time he's on screen, you are paying attention to him. He's funny, but he also gets the emotional moments in this movie. He is just great. The scene at the Chinese restaurant is a very strong point in this movie. And that's one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie, because these characters are together and they're playing off of each other. You get the camaraderie, and they just really work well together. But unfortunately, this movie spends so much time with them apart that is a huge, huge mistake. And I understand that in the book, they spend quite a bit of time apart as well. But if you go back to It Chapter 1, that movie didn't really stick by the book. And this movie doesn't really stick by the book either. So I just feel like they could have just, done what these characters do standalone real fast to get them back together so you can have that chemistry that this cast really has and needs. But that is not what they do here. I would say that the whole second hour, I mean, matter of fact, even longer than that, these characters spend separated, and it is a real drag on this movie, and it is a misstep of direction and editing, really, that I feel like it really needed to change. And another thing that needed to change with this movie is the fact that this budget, it's budgeted at about $85 million, and the first one was at 35. That's still a lot for a horror movie. That is enough to do some CGI, and that first film definitely had CGI. Don't get me wrong. But it didn't rely so heavy on CGI as this one does, because it is like literally every horror scene, every scene that has horror elements to it, it has some bit of CGI, and it ranges to pretty good to that looks bad. And I just feel like, I don't need that. I want more practical effects, especially in my horror movies. And this is a case of, you got too much of a budget, you're allowed to do too many things, and you need to be scaled down. And I feel like this movie needed to be scaled down in budget, and it makes our director or our production crew to just think of other ways to do things other than just throw CGI at the screen, which is what this movie tends to do at times. I know that this character of It, once you get into him, you realize that he's more than just Pennywise. He can take all kinds of forms. So with that, which is not a spoiler, it was in that first film, so, not a spoiler. With that, I would just say that if you're going to go that route, where this character is going to take many different shapes and forms, just keep it practical and make sure that it looks good. And a lot of times it doesn't in this film. And it takes away from Bill Skarsgård as well. He's a great actor. Just let him act. Don't get in his way. There is one scene with Bill Skarsgård that is excellent here, that lives up to that first film. It comes about an hour into the movie. I won't spoil it for you guys, but you'll know it when you see it. It's great, and it shows a different dimension to Pennywise that we haven't really seen before, and it's just a cool scene I wish we got more of, because that is actually the scariest scene in this movie. This movie isn't really scary at all, and it comes across more silly than scary, actually. And again, that is a problem because of the CGI. But overall, I did enjoy this movie when these characters are together. I did enjoy the characters. I for the most part, like the ending. I feel like it went on too long, but this movie went on too long. This is a very indulgent movie, and it could have been pared down. So, with that being said, I'm going to give this a 6 out of 10. This is still a pretty good movie. Unfortunately, it has to live up to the fact that the first one was great. And this is not a great movie. This movie has a lot of problems. But with the gluttony of Stephen King films that are coming up, I feel like this is more along the lines of the quality that we will be getting, and that we should expect, really. And on that note, I don't really have a problem with that, because I feel like if other Stephen King films come this quality, I can take it. So, coming up next on the channel, I do have to wrap up the Marvel thing that I have been going on, reviewing all of the Marvel films that came out on August 13th. I know that was a month ago, and I'm still going on this, but I'm going to wrap it up. So I have to review Iron Man 3 in 4K Ultra HD and Thor the Dark World in 4K Ultra HD. And imagine my surprise, Ant-Man, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Doctor Strange just got announced for 4K in the first week of October. So I will be getting to that for you guys as well. I'm going to be doing the most pre-prep possible for that, and that means that the actual separated movie reviews are going to be coming out before those releases come out. So, if you're excited about all of that, subscribe right down here, and as always, thank you for watching my videos. You guys are awesome. I don't need to say it because you know it, and I will see all of you next time.